Okay, welcome everybody. Today's recipe in the API cookbook is how to change an opportunity stage programmatically. And of all of the beginner recipes that we have done so far, I think this one is perhaps one of the more useful. And the reason I think that is a lot of the things that we've done. And let me just see if I can kind of find a list of some of those here. If I have the cookbook up. Let's just see here if I can't. If you look at some of these, which I know you can't see yet, I'm still digging. Here we go. Um, if you look at some of these that we've done so far, how to add a new contact, how to apply or remove a tag, capitalize first name, set a custom field to a date, um, change the owner ID. So some of these, not setting the custom field to a date, but the rest of these, Infusionsoft can and or does some of these somewhere, sometimes. And the reason we create code recipes for them is that it just doesn't do it always, and it doesn't do it where we want, when we want. So sometimes, or how we want. So sometimes we need a little code recipe to get that done at the right place. But this particular one, sort of like setting the custom field to a date, which Infusionsoft does not do. This one about changing the opportunity stage, Infusionsoft does not do either. Not programmatically. It's a philosophical thing. According to Infusionsoft, they think that a stage move is supposed to be done by a salesperson going into an opportunity and manually hitting that drop down and changing it. And I think many of us who work with pipelines find that we just don't have that philosophy, right? And so, an example of where you might want to use an automated opportunity stage move is, for example, let's say that you're automating your contract process and it sends out a link for them to sign the contract using some third party service, maybe DocuSign or EchoSign or something. They sign it, it sends a API call back to your campaign builder. And when you get that call back indicating that they've signed your contract, you want to change the stage from contract sent to contract signed, for example. And then as a result of that, then that, have a pipeline automation or another thing in campaign builder that takes some other action, right? So to me that, that's kind of a classic use case for an automated stage move, which Infusionsoft can't do. So I'm going to show you how to do that today. I'm going to show you, like I've done in previous weeks, because I did think it worked really well. What I've done the last couple cooking classes is I have done first a really simple version that's got hard-coded values in it just so that you can see the basic concept. And then I do a little bit more complicated, not complicated, but a real use case that pulls some of the information dynamically as you would if you were going to be using this somewhere in your own app. So we're going to do that very quickly. We're going to start out here with the simple version. Now, one of the things that I would tell you is just a couple caveats or reminders about what the cooking class is, what it's about. These recipes are, well, they are very good for learning how to write the API code yourself. However, I think it's the way that I imagine that these are going to be used most often is that they're going to be copy and pasted. You're going to need to do something, you're going to go find a recipe for it, right? And then you're going to copy and paste it into your own code and probably modify it somewhat in order to get done whatever it is. So with that in mind, rather than going through every single line of code here in great depth, what I try to focus on in these cooking classes is more about, not the PHP behind it, because if you want that, we've got a PHP class posted, our 80/20 PHP class posted in up on our website. You can go review that. You know, how is this date created, for example? What does that mean? But more the concept, you know, of the API calls themselves, the logic of the code, and most specifically, what you would need to change or be aware of in order to make this code work in your own app. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do first. I always start these off the same way as you will. Lines 1 through 9 are what get us connected to, get us started and connected to the Infusionsoft API. And then line 46 through 48 down here, there's an if and an else. And assuming that we connect successfully to Infusionsoft, everything between that if and that else runs. So in order, if you don't know how to, or you have not yet set up your Infusionsoft application, the way to do that is just to go to our website and sign up for the missing guide to setting up the Infusionsoft API, and it will walk you through this setup here. Now, the things I do need to tell you that you would need to change in order to make this work in your own application is, first of all, number one is on line 7, and that is this path to the isdk.php file, which is required in order to make this all work. And so for me, I always put my scripts and my ISDK files in the same folder called scripts, one level up from my root folder on my website. So, and you can actually see that here, public HTML scripts, and then here's my script. So for me, there's no path here. It's just the name of the file because they're in the same folder as this script. However, if for you that's somewhere else, then you will probably need more of a relative path here to tell this script how to find the isdk.php file. Where is it? Number 2 is this variable here, in my case, $app, and you'll see it's here as well. What we're doing is we're assigning a new instance of the ISDK here to this variable, and we can call this thing anything. I use app because that is what the Infusionsoft documentation also uses, and I try to be consistent with their documentation. That way I can just copy and paste from their code snippets into mine without breaking anything. So I tend to use app now. That was a lesson I had to learn the hard way. But you could call this anything. You could call it Sam, you could call it George, $George, $horse, you know, doesn't matter what you call it. The only thing you have to know is whatever you name this, then you have to be consistent throughout your entire script. So if it's George here, it needs to be $George here, as well as anywhere else in your script that you make an API call, like here and here. So just a little word of warning: if you choose to, for whatever reason, do something other than what I've done here, be consistent, or you will get an error when you try to run it that says that the object doesn't exist. And then finally, the thing that you need to know is Sandbox. So that is, I am connecting to my Sandbox account in Infusionsoft. In my con.config file, I've named that connection Sandbox, which is why that's what says Sandbox. You have almost certainly named your connection something else. Usually people name it their app name. Whatever yours says in your con.config file, that's what's going to need to go here, not the word sandbox. So these you may or may not need to change. This one you will almost certainly need to change. Okay. All right, good. And so then we're going to start our recipe here. As I say in every webinar I do, I always start with this. This is part of my boilerplate that I start every script with. And that is because I use today's date formatted in a way that Infusionsoft will accept in almost every script somewhere, somehow. And so as a matter of course, I just always start with these 2 lines in the right after I've connected to Infusionsoft. If I don't use it, no harm done, but most of the time I do, as you'll see today. I will use this somewhere. And then I'm going to do this. I'm going to hard code two values here. The values of two variables. The first one I'm going to hard code is the contact ID that I'm going to be working with. In this case, my contact is Drita Dog, my dog. I always use my dogs, almost always, as for my test data. And the other thing I'm going to do is my new stage ID, and that is the stage that I want to change this opportunity to. And I'm going to show you both of these things. So Drita Dog 129, contact 129. So if I go over here to Infusionsoft and I go to contacts, you will see that Drita Dog is in fact contact ID 129, and that Drita has a opportunity associated with her. In fact, it's the only opportunity in my sandbox. So if you go down here to opportunities, you see there's her opportunity. Okay. So for this part of the cookbook, I'm just going to, because I'm hard coding things, I'm just going to hard code in her opportunity ID 129. We'll make it dynamic here in just a little bit. So I need that contact ID equals 129. Now, back to this. You may or may not have a contact ID 129. You may or may not want to use 129 if you have it. And if you have it, you may or that one may or may not have an opportunity already associated with it. So whatever, so what you're going to want to do is if you're going to just use this to test and kind of follow along with my video, you're going to have to find a test contact. You're going to have to find its ID, change this to match the ID of your test contact, and then you are also going to have to make sure that that test contact has an opportunity in some stage. Doesn't matter what stage it's in to begin with. Now, then what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to figure out what stage we want to change to this opportunity. What stage do we want to change it to? So if I look at the opportunity for Drita, this is her opportunity. I'm not listing her name, contact's not on here, but anyway, she's in a stage called contacted currently. Now the way that you look at your stages is you go here, you go to CRM settings, you go down here to sales settings, sales pipeline, and you'll find these stages. Now Infusionsoft has some defaults that they will put in here, and then you can change them or not. And I'm not sure if I've changed these or not. I have no idea. But so she's currently in this stage contacted. Now, I could query to find out what is stage contact, what's the ID of this stage, but I can almost always find the IDs of things just by hovering over them. That's what you should know. Find a link associated with that, hover over it. And it's very hard to see because it's very tiny down here in the bottom left. I can't make it bigger, but if I hover over this, it says edit stage 5. So that tells me that contacted, it has an ID in the stage table of 5. But what I want to know is what I want to do is move this, change this stage to negotiating. I'm just picking something out of thin air, but let's just imagine I wanted to move it to negotiating. Okay, so I'm going to hover over this and find that negotiating has an ID of 24. And so that's why here I've changed this to 24. Now you may want to, again, for, following along or whatever reason, you might not want 24. So you'll need to go in here and figure out what one you do want and change that for now to that stage ID for your specific app. Okay. So once we've got that done, again, this is just the hard-coded version, so you can kind of see how everything works. Later we'll change these to dynamic. We're going to make an API call. And what we're going to do is we're going to query the lead table. Lead table is where opportunities live. And so again, if you go up here to, these are the methods, but if you go to help.infusionsoft.com, then you go to developers and you go to table documentation, over here, this gives you a list of all the tables. Remember, I was talking about the stage table, for example. Stage, this table holds the opportunity stages that you've created. Stage move tells you when opportunities move from one stage to another. We're not going to work with those right now. What we actually want is we want the opportunities themselves, and that is here in the lead table. This table holds opportunity record data, lead table. And if you click on the lead table here, it gives you all the fields within that, and you can see that each lead has an ID and an opportunity title and the contact ID and so forth, right? So what we want to know is, we know that we're looking for we're looking for Drita's opportunity, and that Drita has a contact ID uh, of 24. I'm sorry, of 129, because we've hard coded it up here. So what we're going to do is we're going to query the lead table and say, I need to change this. And what we want to do is, well, let me quickly explain this to you. So this is uh, this is the thing you're going to have to change right here. Okay, so I'm going to make this a contact ID. So what this is saying is, when I'm going to query the lead table, I'm going to return up to 5 results, and I'm going to query it on contact ID being equal to whatever is in this variable, in this case 129, right? So that's what this query is saying. It's saying, look at the lead table, and where contact ID is equal to or like 129, then give me back the following fields, which I've said are ID, contact ID, and stage ID. Really, all I really need is ID, but sometimes it's just handy to return some other things. So the thing that you might need to change, but only if you've changed my variable name, is this. Otherwise, this should work right out of the box. Okay, you shouldn't need to change anything. And I'm going to show you what it brings back, because it's going to assign your results to an array called myOp, and I'm going to print right here the results of that array. So let's do this. We're going to comment that out so that it doesn't update anything. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to add a preview window, and I'm going to save it. And so now you can see what it's done. It's printed hello world, because I always tell it to do that at the top, echo hello world. It's going to tell me that I connected at 16:31:31, because I always tell it to do that also. That's right here. Then it's going to print out the results of the array called my op, okay, which is right here. That was interesting, but okay. I'm commented that out, but it printed it anyway. So let's look at the what it returned here in this array. Let me make this much bigger so you can see it. Okay. So what it gave you back is, it said, so basically we only had a single opportunity here. You'll remember from PHP class, those of you who were in a PHP class, that the index of an array starts with 0. So this is the first and only item in our array. It is a opportunity belonging to contact ID 129, an ID of 2, that's the ID, the opportunity ID, and a stage ID, current stage ID of 5. Okay, so we now know the ID. This is what we were really after, the ID of Drita's opportunity. Okay, now for purposes of this simple recipe, we're just going to assume that Drita has 1. In a more advanced recipe further down, we're going to show you how to find more specific opportunities when there are more than 1 for a contact. But for today, we'll just assume there's only 1. And so it's got opportunity ID 2. So you can see this is what we asked for: ID, contact ID, and stage ID, where the contact ID was equal to 129. And that's exactly what we got. So we have now we've queried the lead table. We know what Drita's opportunity is. We've echoed it out. And so now what we wanted to do next is, then we want to change this stage ID for this opportunity. And we want to change it from 5, which is what it is now, to 24. which is, I believe, negotiating, right? So in order to change it, what we're going to do, and again, you really shouldn't have to, if you don't change any of my variable names, you really should not have to change anything here. But what we've got now, so that was a query. So now what we're going to do is an update. Okay, we're going to update the lead table. We found the ID, now we're going to update it. So what this says is, if I read this from left to right, it says, okay, go to the app and update the lead table where opportunity ID is equal to, now this is the pointer in the array, my op 0 ID, right? Array 0 ID. So basically it's saying 2. So where opportunity ID is equal to 2, we want you to update the following fields, which are stage ID with new stage ID, which we've said is 24. So let me just read that in a little bit clearer English, left to right. Go to my app, update the lead table for any opportunity where opportunity ID is equal to 2. Update the stage ID field to 24. Okay, so that's what this call is saying, and it's getting all of those words from these various variables which we've set throughout. So when I run this, it's going to run, and then it's going to come back because I've told it to, and it's going to echo that it updated opportunity ID X, whatever. Okay, with a little line here. So when I hit print, now if we look at, again, just real quick, if we go to Drita right now and we look at her opportunity, right now it's set to contacted. When we get done, this should set to negotiating. Okay, so I'm going to run it again and say run. Oops, not run, save. There we go. Okay, perfect. And you can see that it just ran at 16:36:31. So now, if I go over here, right, to Drita, and I look at her, if I refresh this, this should now say negotiating. I realized I left that off the screen there just a second ago. Negotiating. And that is because we have now changed the stage to 24. Okay? So that worked properly. Now let's put her back to contacted and save that. All right, so that is the basic mechanics of how to change a stage. So if you already knew the ID of the opportunity you wanted to change, you wouldn't have to go through you wouldn't even need this query. All you'd need would be this right here. You could just say, I know what it is. It's, the ID is 2. I want to change it to stage 24. And so you just, use this line here. So basically, the piece that updates the stage is just that right there. That's it. And the rest of this is all about, figuring out the contact ID and the ID of the opportunity we want to move and to what stage, etc. But again, if you knew all of that, the piece that actually does the heavy lifting is this line right here. Okay? So with that in mind, let's quickly go look at and I say quickly, we'll go look at a use case. And the reason I'm laughing at that is that I actually don't have this use case done. So we're going to have to troubleshoot it together and figure out how to make it work. Okay? So, but we're going to use this same idea. And again, the use case that we're going to assume here is this. In fact, let me take you to the campaign builder. Okay. And so we're going to be working with this right now. So again, the idea would be I'm using a tag goal, but in the real world, this would probably be an API goal, not a tag goal. So for me to just be able to fire this easily, I've got a little tag called post. So when I apply that tag, so I can test all of this, what happens is it's going to run this script using the HTTP post to a different version of the script we created called CB for Cookbook Change Opportunity Stage.php, and then it's going to remove that post tag just so that I did say remove, right? Just so that I could run it again. And so let's look at this HTTP post, because this is something that you will need to change, of course, if you're wanting to do this. So you may or may not use the same name as me for your script. Assuming you do and that you put it in the same folder, then the only thing that you would need to change here would be the URL. This would be your website and not mine. So you would need to change that. This contact ID is default. This is the name value pair that Infusionsoft puts there when you create a new snippet in Campaign Builder. So we need that. We're going to use that. But notice that I've done something else here. I've hard coded just for this. I've hard coded in a name or a key called new stage ID, and I've set it to 24 because what I know is, because this is in a campaign, right? And my idea here is that when someone signs the contract, that I'm going to move them to contract, in this case it says negotiating, but I'm going to move them to contract signed or whatever. So I know what stage I want them to move to. Now, of course, I could do if statements and decision diamonds and all kinds of crazy things, right? To get these stages to go where I want them to, depending on what happened. But in this case, I'm just saying, I know that when this goal is satisfied, I want to move them to the stage called negotiating, and I want that to happen programmatically with that little post. Okay, so let's figure out how we're going to do that. So back to this for a second. What we're doing is we're passing this variable this time instead of hard coding it in the script itself, so that we could pass different variables at different places, and just look them up as part of the post process. So you would obviously, want to change that as well, because you might be using something different. All right, so we're gonna follow my advice of coding in chunks. As I said, I started this, I did not finish it, so we are gonna have to um, figure out what's not working here, but let me just take you through it quickly. This part is the same, exactly the same as the simple one that we started with earlier, but now you'll notice that we're adding an if then else, which is again kind of part of my boilerplate. For those of you, I show this fairly often, but I'll show it again. If I say new document here, this is my boilerplate. This is how I start every single um, um, piece of code that I write, and I just add things or take things away that I don't need. But these are like the things that I use all the time. So to keep myself from having to rewrite these every time, I just have it set up so that I can just, as a snippet, that I can just add and then go from there. So that's what I mean when I say boilerplate, just saves me keystrokes. So this if, you should not necessarily, if you didn't change anything in that HTTP post snippet that I just showed you, you should not need to change this, because this is the default contact ID. That's the name it gives to contact ID in that snippet. So you shouldn't need to change that. But oops, yeah, from here to here, this should be all good. Okay. what this does, just in case you want to know, is it says because depending on whether something comes from Campaign Builder or an action within the contact, if it comes from an action, the post calls contact ID. If it comes from a Campaign Builder, it calls it contact ID. So we just account for that with this little if statement here every time. Okay. Now, but this is new, right? So this is this I added in. And so what we're saying is this is another version of an if statement. And what we're saying is if in that post variable, when we ran that post snippet, HTTP post, we said, right, that we wanted to send over a new stage ID of 24. Remember? So just again, just to show this to you, hang on one second. Come back over here to our little post snippet. See this right? We'll put it right here. Okay, we said this is our post. We're posting two things. We're posting contact ID, and we're setting that equal to the contact's ID. That's this contact ID here. And we're also putting in the post a name. We're calling it new stage ID, and the value is 24. So what this is saying is, okay, go look and see if in that post is there something called new stage ID, and if there is, then we know it's going to be 24. Assign that value, whatever it is, of that post variable to this one, so that we can work with it in our script. Okay. And if it's not there, then just set new stage ID equal to blank. Again, as long as you use the exact same case, new upper and lower that I did, etc., when you set this up, then this script should work properly for you. If you're going to do this some other way, then it won't. Okay. Okay, so that's what that's matching up to, that post. You're going to go find whatever you put in that post snippet. Okay. Now, what we want to do first is let's just make sure before we do anything else here. Let's well, here I can do it this way. We'll just make sure that works, right? Because this is part of my this is not meant to be a programming class. However, this is one of my keys to learning how to write your own API code. I always say code in chunks. Okay. Don't try to figure out what's not working out of this whole thing. Just get the first little piece, make sure it works. Add the next piece, make sure it works. The other thing is print, 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 print. Okay. So we're going to, oops, we definitely don't need that again. Okay. We are going to just dump this to a file. And that's because you can't look at it. You can't preview it in when you're using Campaign Builder. So rather than preview it, you have to put it into a file. So our file is called kimlog text. We're going to append it. Okay, again, I'm not going to go through all this. It's in the PHP class if you're interested. 8020 PHP covers this several different times. The main one being, like, I think the last class on error handling. But this is just writing to a file. So what we want to write is what? I want to write, not that. I want to write, actually, I just want to see the post. Okay. And so I could take all this stuff out. Take these three, because that's my boilerplate. But see, part of my boilerplate, because I use it all the time, is write to that file a print_r statement that has the post in it. So I can see what the post looks like and just make sure that these things are coming over the way I expect them to. Okay, so that's what we're going to do first. We're just going to run this little guy and make sure that we've got our post coming over properly. Because if you have no post, the rest of this thing, if it's not coming over the way you expect, the rest of this thing isn't going to work. Okay, so I'm going to hit save here, and we're going to go over here to Dog. Okay, because remember, this thing is set to run when we apply a tag called post. So I'm going to go over here to Dreaded Dog, and I'm going to set a tag called post, which it's then going to remove again, but just this will just kick off the sequence. So we're going to say apply post, and then if we refresh this, one of the things that you will see is, hopefully, that if we go down here and look at the campaign history, oh, 403. Well, now that's interesting. What? Unexpected oh, I got my name wrong. Wait, CB underscore change underscore op underscore stage dot php. Nope, I don't have my name wrong. Okay, so what this is saying is I tried to run this script for you, Kim, but I got an error. Couldn't run it for you. So fortunately for us, your server will capture that error here in a file called error log. It'll be in the same folder as your script. So we go to the error log and we look, and no, it's not in the error log. Okay, so what happened here? We got a unexpected response. Let me just see something here. If I go to Kim log, nothing. So the thing just didn't run. The file didn't run. Okay. So why didn't that run? Hang on one second. Cap first name demo, move to negotiate, remove one so that we put the tag on it. Remove that tag, tried to run. Am I in the wrong place? Nope. Train and simple. Scripts. CB change opportunity stage.php. Okay, so did I comment out something I should not have? Current date if post equals. Okay, let's do this then. Okay. Connected at. See, this is the part that I don't like about working in the campaign builder, because you're kind of blind. So what we're going to do is stage ID. And by the way, if any of you guys see it, just let me know. Okay. Con ID, post ID. Okay, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that that works, and that this works because it always works. So I'm going to run this again with that current date post equals true. Okay, let's just try it again. See what happens. Let's say, oops, would help if I save this. Let's say repost. Sure, why not? Didn't run because unexpected response 403. Why are you 403? Okay, so let's do this. If have an error here. By the way, that's the other thing you do. All right, just keep working backwards till it starts working again, and then figure out what doesn't work. That doesn't really make sense, but it could be. All right, so I've saved that. Repost. 403. Oh, I've definitely broken something. My plan was to show you this. We'll see. Let's see. Come on, save. Repost. I might have to start this again though. Oops. Other 554. Well, come on, you have to like run now. Opportunity stage. Alright, let's just do this. I got this all. Let's do this. Just bear with me. Sorry, I know you guys always say, yeah, this is cool. We like to learn this. And actually that probably is the benefit of it. But I hate to like figure stuff out when someone's sitting there watching me because I feel like I'm going so slow. Okay, maybe. Oh, no. Here's what I'm doing, you guys. I'm like thinking, okay, so let's try this again. Get rid of this. So maybe there's something with the post. So I'm taking out the post, and I've taken out, all I'm doing is open it, see if it'll write the current date. See if it'll just run. Let's just see if we got, otherwise I got a different problem somehow or another. Like, I just keep looking at this and thinking this must be about the file name, but I don't think so. Public script CB change. Okay, save this. Let's try. Let's see what happens. I'm just going to go here to tags. Apply tag called post. Say apply. Alright, and then I'm going to hit refresh. Then I'm going to look at her campaign. Contract sent. And sometimes what happens when, see what happens once you start running this multiple times for the same, in fact I should probably run it for someone else, but now it's going to sit here and no, 5:56. Actually, it should have run by now. Sometimes after a while, it'll start making these 15 minutes from now. That one just hadn't run yet. Okay, so now if we look at it, it should have. Unexpected HTTP response 403. What does that mean? What does that mean? Mm-hmm. 403. Access forbidden. Unexpected 403. Well, this is just weird. All I'm trying to do is just run a stinking post to a file. Change op stage. Okay, you guys. Error. It's not, see, it's not even running. It's not, because it's not getting an error. That's right. Let's do this. Let's see what happens if I just run the simple one. So we know that works. Back to sequence. Back to campaign. Publish. Publish. And I say... going to have this tag back. Again, call post. Okay. So posted. Refresh. Okay, campaign builder, see if it ran. See, now it's starting to wait the 15 minutes because I've run it so many times. So I'm going to say remove that tag. That's okay. I'm going to send this post manually, see what it does. And 403. What the heck? I don't even know, you guys. Why are you doing this? Why are you doing this? Unexpected HTTP response code 403 on a script that we absolutely know works if we just... Fascinating. If I just call it from here. Works. So why would I get a 403 from Infusionsoft? Yeah, is it something in the campaign builder? I was actually just thinking request bin as well, Ramona. That's a very good question. At which point it would be not sending to my script. But what if we did this? Well, I may just have to go away and figure this all out and then come back and reshoot this because I don't want to spend 30 minutes. This video is not supposed to be about troubleshooting. It's supposed to be about showing you guys a completed recipe. But if I did one thing, if I set up request bin, oops, wrong one. So make sure there's not another post. Move to negotiating. Now I wonder. I don't know what this was, what this said. What did it say? It was substage. It was called new stage ID. And I set this to 24. I wonder if I need to int this. Yeah, all of those things are true. It's writable. It's the same folder I use all the time. And it is, but I kind of wonder what would happen if I took that. No, that just doesn't make any sense. It's not even running. Okay, so we got new stage ID 24. And see if this shows up. Alright, so it's sent. Stage ID 24. It's a post. So it's not that it's not sending. And it's not that it's not sending what I want. It's that some reason this my well, I mean, this is weird. We just did this like last week. We've used the same server forever and ever. All right, let's do this. Let's just do one other thing. Let's just make a blank file. No, I got an idea. We'll use boilerplate. But I can't echo it. So I gotta print it. So how is this any different than what I'm doing right now? Well, I don't need it to connect. I just want to do this. Boilerplate.php. Perfect. Alright. This doesn't work. I'm going to bag this for today. Come back, do it later when I have it working. be on the safe side, I'm going to take that all out. And I'm going to do, oops, boilerplate.php. See if it works. Back to campaign. Publish. Publish. And back to list. Okay. So now we're going to try this one more time. This has been saved. If I, just so you know, if I save this, just look and see what we got here. If I save this, I should have something in here now, which I do. 944, oh, 945. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, whatever. So now let's run it again. So I'm going to add this post. I'm going to refresh this. Look at this. I'm going to see that it's going to take 15 minutes. No. Didn't run. 403. Okay. I have absolutely no idea why things aren't running to my server from Infusionsoft. I have no idea. This is like the same thing I've done a million times. So I gotta sort that out. Figure out what the heck is happening. I wonder if it thinks I've hit it too. I mean, no, it just doesn't make any sense. If I hit it too many times and they've shut it down, the IP address or something, or maybe I don't know that anything big is happening on. I mean, that doesn't make sense. So, I'm sure this is gonna have gone through. It did. So interesting. I don't know, you guys. So, I mean, my server is obviously working, but for some reason it is not liking Infusionsoft. So, and Infusionsoft's obviously working, but for some reason we have a permissions problem between the two. So, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, well, before I break off, since there's only two of you guys here, Troy and Ramona, do you guys have any questions other than why that didn't work? This is just odd. I don't know. I'll have to get back to you and tell you why it didn't work. But once I mean, the script should have worked fine. I just don't know. I just don't know why it was not cooperating. But anyway, do you guys have any questions before I like drop off? And then when I get it working properly, I'll probably redo the video. Not the whole thing, just the second part. And then if you guys want it, you can have it. Ramona. I have one about the capitalized script. Sure. Go for it. Why doesn't it work if more than one contact record is checked? Oh, so you're trying to run it as an action from the yeah, there's no loop. There's nothing for it to sorry. There's nothing if you're trying to do like a group of contacts and run it like from here. If I'm in contacts, I assume when you're saying more than one is checked and I say run an action set somewhere, or even, is that what you're doing? Yeah. Okay. And then you're going to say what? Apply a tag or print labels, context batch, blah, 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 blah. Where's, run an action? You can't run an action from here? Apply an action set, remove a tag, assign it. So you were going to kick it off from here by what? Applying a tag? Up top, applying an action set, and then using the action set to, oh, to run the HTTP post. So here you're going to say add a new action, apply, sorry, down here, send an HTTP post for each of five results. And what happens when you do that? Does it only work for one of them, or what happens? No one changes. Um, let me look at it. So what we're doing capitalize first name, that one. This one, cap first name, no, campaign builder, this one. Now remember I had two. I had simple and I had the other one. So which one are you trying to run? Darn it, Kim. So this is capitalized first name. Okay. So let's look at that. If you run it, current date, post ID, post contact ID. You know what? If I know why. I bet if you run it, that's different. If you run it from there, watch what's going to happen. Bet I know why. If I do request bin from right here instead of running that post and say save and say process action, here's my guess. I could be wrong, but I'm thinking that's a get. Amount what? There's an error. Amount paid, amount due needs taken out. Oh, you're right. Where did that come from? Sure is. Let's look at this and see what it got. Nope, it's a post. And the post has ID 129. So that's not a get. Okay. And it ran for each one of these. And you're saying that it did not work. So do you think it's because of that there was an error in there? That's what you said. That the amount paid and the amount due were what caused the error? No, you changed the error and it still didn't work. All right, well, let's try it. For each one of these, what should happen is, and unless it's just, I don't know. I mean, I can't imagine why it would not, unless, I don't know. Let's try. Although, actually, I'm probably going to have the same problem here. How am I gonna, well, let's see. Go back here. Contacts. Say, apply action set and say, send an HTTP post and say, principal scripts /cb underscore capitalize underscore first name. I gotta change some things to save. Nope. Capitalize. All right, let's go back over here. Contacts. It worked for one, but not for multiple. So we'll make Joe. Oops. And save him, and we'll make Pete. We'll hit save, and okay. And so now we should be able to say process action, see what happens. Well, and see, now my problem is I don't know if it's running or if it's not running because of my issue. So I don't know the answer to that, because I don't know if my script's even working, if it's even connecting or what. I mean, I'm assuming it's not. So, holy cow, my dogs are gonna get killed. They're out there playing with that horse. That horse is gonna crush their head. Hang on, you guys, 1 second. Hey, you guys, get in here. You don't play with them. Silly dog. Sorry. Yeah, in theory it should. Yeah, absolutely. In theory it should. Because it should run, it runs 5 times, just like request bin prints out every one of these posts. It should print out, it should run 5 times. So I don't know any reason why it wouldn't. I don't know. So I'll have to play with that and see. I don't have an answer because I can't get this thing working. So yeah, I don't know. Have to come back to you on that one. Sorry, I'm not much help today. Other anything else that I cannot help with? Yeah, no, your thinking is very very definitely correct. Oh yay, good for you, first baby grandbaby. That's awesome. Okay. Do you have the infusions? Troy, sort of. I have it on paper. I have it in my Evernote. I don't. I'll chat with you. I sort of do. I have it on paper. I just haven't actually been able to do anything. Like I was hoping to automate it in Infusionsoft, and I haven't done. Want to beta test it. Yeah, maybe I should make the test to automate the test. So send me an email or something, and I will, or a Skype, and I will send it to you, and we can go from there. Yeah, I need to do. It's like it's way up my list, and I just have not. I mean, just haven't gotten to it. There's like 7 things on my list. All right, you guys. I'm so sorry that this just didn't work the way that I Oh, good. So, Troy, just so you know, Ramona has been like working through each one of the recipes and writing them out for the cookbook after each one of these, and she just said that they are much more of a help than she thought. Even that doing it is more of a help than she thought. So that's awesome. Um, I'm glad to know it's helping because it's definitely helping me. So that's cool. All right, well, you guys, I'm gonna jump off. I've got some hungry horses to get fed, and then I'm gonna try to figure this thing out, which is making me just nutty. And then I will let you know why it didn't work. But I definitely have the code for the first one in the first part of the recording I can give you, and then hopefully I'll have the second part up and working that I can add to it as well. So, all right, I'm going to take off. You guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thanks for jumping on with me, and hopefully, sorry, Ramona, which other recordings did you not get some, or I've slept since then, and I've totally like forgotten where we're at. Cookbook. Which ones did you not get? Do you know? Oh, you don't have any of the recordings. You have the code. Hmm. Um, okay. Um, I believe that all the recordings are, yeah, not on the website. I didn't, I'm gonna have to find out where my assistant put them. I know he uploaded them somewhere, but I don't know where he put them. Maybe on Google Drive or something. I thought we were sending you those links. Hmm. So let me track those down and see if I can give you the recordings as well. Um, Good question. I don't know where those are. I'll have to find them. Okay. Oh, you've been screen flowing them yourself. Okay. Well, that aren't you smart? Um, yeah, I'm gonna have to, and they're definitely not edited at this point. So, so they're probably almost identical to what you've got because I mean, what we have not put any kind of editing into them. They're just saved somewhere. Um, so all right. Yeah, I'll see what we've got. All right. Anything else? Oh, you don't have all of them. Okay. I'll look for them and see if I can't find them and get them up somewhere that you could access them. Okay. Thanks. I gotta run. All right. Talk to you guys later. Have a great weekend. Bye, you guys.